today and for hosting TIFF on their land every day. Tonight's conversation will be moderated by our incredible TIFF programmer, Diana Sanchez. Many of you know Diana as the immensely talented programmer for film selections from Latin America and the Caribbean, Spain, and Portugal. If you've seen an amazing film from these regions at TIFF over the past 15 years, you most certainly have Diana to thank you for bringing them to you, for bringing the films, the filmmakers, the creative team, and the talent to Toronto. She is not only a talented programmer, but also an incredibly lovely human being and a lot of fun. She is simply the best, so trust me, you are in store for a really fun evening. So please join me in welcoming our host for tonight's special event, Diana Sanchez.
Thank you, Teresa. That was the sweetest intro. Thank you so much. We're thrilled to have Javier Bardem join us this evening for this career-spanning onstage conversation. Javier Bardem is a force of nature. He has traversed English and Spanish language art house, Hollywood, and genre film with ease. Throughout his career, Javier has worked with an impressive roster of prolific filmmakers, including Julian Schnabel, the Coen Brothers, Woody Allen, Alejandro González Iñárritu, Terrence Malick, Ridley Scott, the list goes on. Javier is one who lives and breathes his craft. But besides acting, he continues to make impactful contributions to political and cultural conversations. We'll speak to some of these alongside a documentary Javier produced, The Sons of the Clouds, which played here at TIFF in 2012. Javier is at the festival this year with 2 films. He stars alongside Jennifer Lawrence in director Darren Aronofsky's Mother, which premiered here at the festival last night. He's also presenting Loving Pablo, the latest film by Spanish director Fernando León de Aranoa. The film stars Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz, and Javier is also a producer on the film. He's been working nearly 2 decades to bring this film to the big screen, so it's with great excitement that we'll be screening the North American premiere tomorrow night. Before I invite him to the stage, we're going to begin with a short series of clips that Javier has curated for us to highlight his career. Let's welcome Javier Bardem.
Hello. That's very intimidating. Hello. The first question I have today is there going to be anybody in the theater? And thank you for coming very much. I mean, it would have been horrible if I come here and there's nobody. So thank you for bringing all your friends and cousins and family members. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, thanks to you for being with us. It's really such a pleasure.
Thank you.
I loved your clip reel. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you wanted to?
Of course. What was there? Which one was the first one?
The Mondays in the Sun.
Of course,
Fernando's
Mondays in the Sun. My very good friend Fernando Leon, who's here with us tonight. We are opening tomorrow Loving Pablo, which we made together. I adore him. I worship him. He's an amazing writer, director, and beautiful human being. And that was 2001. 11, sorry. No, 1. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, 16 years ago. And I was young, handsome, clever, smart, great actor. And then I met him, and everything went down. And we had a great time. It's a great movie that we did, and it was a huge success in Spain and all over Europe. It came here to the States as well, and I'm very proud of that movie.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It is wonderful. So we're going to talk about your career. We're going to go back a little bit to the beginning. You grew up in a very politically engaged family of artists. Your grandparents were actors. Your mom is a very well-known actor, Pilar Bardem. Your uncle is Juan Antonio Bardem. And yet you wanted to be a painter at first. Is this correct? And a rugby player.
Yes.
Yes, and apparently you financed your art school through acting?
Through acting, yeah. Through going to, through many things, basically. I worked in construction. I worked in doing caricatures on the street. I worked on, I didn't give blood, but almost, as a job. I wasn't a stripper, yeah, believe it or not, for a day. And my mom and my mother came to cheer me up and root for me in the club.
No.
And I was so nervous that I took my sister to dance with me with my slip.
G-string thing?
Yeah, like the Brazilian thing, like I had
the
that.
thong, the tanga.
And I broke her leg. I was so nervous that I was doing some sexy tango with my sister and I broke her leg. And then I realized that my stripper career was over.
Right.
And but I was paid, so I could keep studying. And that was a long time ago, as you can imagine. And yes, I started to work as an extra in movies to keep on painting and to keep on trying to find my place in the world. Because as we know, that's important to know. And I didn't know until I was 17, 18, that I wanted to be an actor. Okay. So, yeah. And my first role actually came because I went to accompany my sister, which was an actress, until she quit, because it is a very hard job, to an audition. And then Bigas Luna, which is the director of Jamón Jamón Golden Balls, which is the one that I was singing, casting director saw me and said, why don't you do a test? And I was like, no, I don't want to be an actor. Yeah, come in. And then my career started, believe it or not. Yep. So I was in the right place at the right moment. And
then you did your first starring role was also in a Bigas Luna film, right?
Yes.
With Jamón Jamón, the second of 3 films that you did with Bigas. And around that time, a few years later, you started working with Almodovar. So we're going to go to some clips of these films and then talk a little bit about them.
Perfect.
So I thought it was interesting to pair these clips because I read a quote from Almodovar saying that after Jamón Jamón, Javier was offered lots of very similar roles, the very tough, very Spanish kind of guy. But he never really played that same type of role again. That was said in 2001. So was this a conscious decision after Jamón Jamón where you do like the macho ibero?
Sure.
To not be typecast? Or?
Yeah, because I wanted to, I guess Jamón Jamón was, I mean, Penelope was 16 years old. I was 21. That scene that you saw in the car, there was a little man driving the car because I didn't know how to drive. And he was driving with the hands on the gas pedal while I was going like that. So he was very little, and he was very humiliated. And I was like, I'm sorry, man, I should have known how to drive. Don't worry, you do your job. And then I would step out of the car like being a macho man, and it was very ridiculous for me also. Yeah, that's, I mean, the rest is history. She was 16, I was 21, and now we have 2 kids, believe it or not.
I know.
And that was 25 years ago. And after that movie, I mean, exploded in Spain. It was a huge success, and none of us were ready for that. I mean, I wasn't ready for that. Penelope wasn't ready for that. And I was taken back by it, and I stopped and I said, okay, what to do next? And actually I did his other movie, Golden Balls, which is the one where I sing, which is kind of a caricature of the macho man as we know it in Spain. Like, we made fun of him. And after that, really, I stopped and I started to look for different characters. And that moment, I decided to really try to reach different personalities and to play different people, because that's what I'm most attracted to.
Yeah. And in 2000, you released Before Night Falls, the Julian Schnabel film, which was here at TIFF. It was a very much loved film all over the world.
I remember. It was very important.
It was it was incredible. And you know, a few years later, you worked with Amenábar. And tell us a little bit about working with Julian Schnabel. I think it's interesting. You worked with a painter.
Yes.
You know, and going back to one of your passions, and working in English language for the first time. That must have been quite a challenge.
I worked before. The first time I worked in English was with Alex de la Iglesia, Spanish director, in a movie called Perdita Durango. And that was 96. And I literally learned the dialogue phonetically, like how to say a word, how to say. It was tough. It was tough for me. And then I met Julian in San Sebastian Film Festival, and he offered me the role of Lázaro, which is the role that is played by Olivier Martínez. Some other actor was going to play Reinaldo Arenas, and I said, yeah, fine, I'll do it. And then the other actor decided not to do it, and he called me saying, will you play the role? And I said, no, I can't. I don't speak English. No, I can't. And I don't know if any of you know Julian Schnabel. He insists. I mean, he really, I love him. He has a huge heart. He doesn't fit this room. I mean, the room is small for his heart. That's what I mean. So I was persuaded, and then I studied English, and I did the movie, thinking that nobody will see it. And it happens to be one very important movie in my career, because it was seen by a lot of people, actually.
Yeah. It was like a big breakout role for you.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And you were offered many roles after that. And no, I just famously, that I think I read from your brother that you, from Carlos Bardem, he said that you rejected films like Minority Report, Blow, in favor of doing The Sea Inside with Alejandro Amenábar.
Yeah, because that was not the right moment to do a movie like Minority Report for me, knowing that I'm a huge fan of Spielberg. I mean, the first time that I met him, I was totally starstruck. I mean, but at the same time, that was not the right moment for me to do a role like that. Now I can do it. Now, why? Why now? Because I've done several things. So, but at that moment, it was better for me not to jump into a role like that. And yes, for me, it was very difficult to jump into a foreign language performance at the time. So I preferred to be in Spain. And also, it was a time where in Spain a lot of movies were happening. Now, not so much, unfortunately. So we have a canvas to choose. Now, it's not that big of a canvas, unfortunately.
Right, right. So we're going to cue up the clips from both Before Night Falls and The Sea Inside, and then talk a bit more about those characters.
I don't care where.
So beautiful.
It's funny because I've done three real people. I portray three real people. Reinaldo Arenas, Ramon San Pedro, which is, and Pablo Escobar. And Reinaldo and Ramon, they were beautiful souls, beautiful people that really changed important patterns, ethical and moral patterns, for us to make something out of it. And it's beautiful because still they are in some place inside of me. And when I see him, I feel so sorry for him. But Pablo is not here with me. That I made sure of.
No, I can imagine. The role of Reinaldo Arenas must have been so beautiful to prepare for. Did you immerse yourself in his poetry and his writing?
Yeah. And actually I was writing a lot. And yes, just to imagine that I'm a writer, whatever. And funny enough, I found all those writing papers 2 months ago. And I started to read it, and it was so horrible. It didn't make any sense, but at the time I thought it was like a masterpiece, like a Nobel Prize. That's how stimulated I was. Like when you perform, when you're an actor, you start to believe in the role so much that then you really become that person in some way. You can't be detached from what you do or from what you are. I mean, I think it was a very important character for me to play. And the last day we shot the scene where he dies, and we shot in the real place, his apartment in New York, in the real sofa where he really died, and that was very spooky.
Yeah.
But we were shooting that scene, and then there was a library, and when the scene happened and we did it, a book fell off. It opened wide in the middle, and there was a poem about that is called Farewell, and it was about a farewell, saying goodbye. That was very, and I knew he was there. It's like I knew he was there. I believe in those things. I believe in that we are all around here.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's funny, I was reading that one of Reynaldo's friends was kind of upset that after the movie when you went back to being you again. Because you embodied the characters so well.
That's Lázaro, because Lázaro worked with Julian, and Lázaro, which is the character that is played by Olivier Martinez, was the person who suggested Julian to make the movie. So I guess that's him.
Yeah. And no, it was a seminal role. You were the first Spanish actor to ever be nominated for an actor for that film. So
and we did a party. Fernando was there. And I had a terrace at the day, and then it was so full, and the elevator broke, and the firemen came with a big escalator to the terrace, and they brought beers. It was like we would have won the world championship. It was big. It was huge. Everybody was happy, and they brought beers to us because they came to rescue the people in the elevator, but we asked for beers, and they brought beers. So that's how important that nomination was.
It's wonderful. Yeah, that's very nice. And when The Sea Inside did very well, it was won the best foreign language Oscar.
Yes.
So that was wonderful for Alejandro Amenábar. Yes. And I love that character, Damon San Pedro. And I remember seeing that film, and I couldn't get out of my seat. I couldn't stop crying.
It's a good movie.
It's a really, really great movie. Yeah.
Yes, and it's one of those things. I was 33 when I did it. Jesus, and again, and it's one of those things that you do when you are younger, that you're fearless. I don't know how I said yes to that because it's so far that character from me. But I guess the ambition, triggered something in me, a trust, a faith, and I really follow the character, and I try to do my best. But when I see it now, it's like I would never do it now. I think it's like, why would I put myself in that situation where it's such a far away from me? In terms of age and everything. But it was a great experience, of course.
Yeah. I guess you must have had to spend a lot of the film and time in makeup.
I was 3 months lying down because it was 5 hours makeup every day. Lie down because they have to do the makeup lie down. Then it was 12 hours shooting, and then I will grab and go to sleep.
Right.
So it was 3 months of being lie down. You should see me on the weekends. When they released me, I was like wild. I was like climbing the walls.
We're going to move on in your career because after this, there were some kind of creepy roles. I'm thinking about.
You like creepy?
I'm thinking about No Country for Old Men. We're going to cue.
Creepy.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a creepy movie. So we're going to watch.
Every time I see the scene in the gas station of No Country for Old Men, I remember a very important rule in performing, which is when you play a king, make sure that they treat you like a king. Don't play a king. That scene is brilliant because the coins, because the writing, and because that actor. That actor, his performance makes me scary.
Yeah.
He's brilliant in performing fear. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything to do. Just wear that fucking haircut and flip the coin. He did the scene. Really. Yeah. Working with the coins, crazy. I mean, I didn't know, Jesus, what a movie. I was killing people like one day and the day after, yes. I mean, one day on, one day off. I was killing, I don't know, when I wrapped, they brought this chocolate cake with 45 candles. And in every candle, there was a face of the person I killed in the movie.
No, that's
Oh,
terrible.
really? And I blow the candle, and everybody applauding. Yeah. So I didn't know what that movie was going to be like because I didn't have any scene with Jaws or Tommy Lee Jones. I was just killing people.
Yeah.
And then I saw the movie together. I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it's pretty awesome. Yeah. So it was a harrowing experience, kind of a difficult experience to make then.
That one?
That one, yeah.
No, they were laughing. They were laughing. These people are insane. They were laughing. They were, a lot of times we have to cut because they are laughing behind the monitor. But it's blood all over.
Right.
I don't know. It's weird. I love those guys. And of course, it was my first big American movie, whatever you want to call it. And I was begging them to direct me. They won't say anything. They said, oh, you do whatever you want. And just be serious. They asked me to be serious all the time.
Yeah.
I love those guys. What an honor, no? What a privilege to be in one movie like that.
Yeah.
That is for the ages. No, it's not common to be in a good movie that everything works. No, it's an honor.
Yeah, and it was and you won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, the first Spanish actor to win that, which is pretty cool.
Good.
Yeah, that's good.
I was sitting down with my mom on the left, Jack Nicholson on the right, and I was reading my speech because there were some odds that I could win, so you better have something written, especially if you don't speak English, and you have 45 seconds. And there was this huge list, and he looked at me, and I was sweating, and he said, what happened? I said, well, what if I win? And he said, drop the names, don't get emotional, and dedicate it to your mother. That's what Jack Nicholson said, and I did it. I broke the page. Fucking, he's right. I went up there, and I didn't get emotional, and I dedicated it to my mother. So thanks to Mr. Nicholson.
And I like how you continue to, you played these big roles in English, but still continuing to work in Spanish. I mean, after you worked in Biutiful, is it important for you to?
Yeah, because now it's closer to what I do, when I perform in English, or the way I perform in English is way closer to the way I perform in my own native language, because my English is better. Even if you don't believe it right now, it's better. You should have listened to me, I don't know, 2 hours ago, no, 5 years ago. But at the same time, it's not the same yet. So you need a vehicle of expression that really allows you to be free and let yourself go. Because at the end, performing is the art of letting yourself go within some limits that are the script, the direction, the set. But you have to let yourself go and explore. And language is very important, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you worked with Alejandro González Iñárritu in Biutiful, which we saw that scene. It's a very tough scene. That's when the daughter realizes that she admits to her dad that she knows that he's dying.
Yes.
And you were working with children. How did you get them through those difficult moments?
She was, I don't know, Alejandro González Iñárritu is a genius of a director. And he really brings the best performances of everybody that he works with. And that includes the children. And they were, I mean, they were not actors, but they were very nice little kids that they had a very healthy relationship with themselves, in the sense that they were not shy, they were willing to go and feel an emotion, and she did it in 2 takes. Me, oh my God, I don't know, 15, but she, 2 takes. It's like, yeah.
So that must have been a very emotionally draining role, huh?
Do you hear the heartbeats?
Yeah.
Those are real.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had these things under the clothes, and then we hug for real, and then the heartbeat is our heartbeats, tutum, tutum, going in the scene, and Alejandro put the volume into that. I mean, it's not a studio thing, it's our heartbeats. We were very intense in that moment.
Yeah. And how did you prepare for that role with Alejandro?
Pray, because it was like a huge mountain. He was always referring to a mountain, Iñárritu. We have to get to the top. And it's true, because that was his first movie where he put all the weight in one character.
Right.
It was not different characters playing different stories. It was one story with one main character. And that was a huge weight to sustain. And for me as well. But we made it. And it was very rewarding in the sense that I think that movie resonates on many levels. And I am very proud of being part of it. It was tough. It was hard to be in that mood for so long, because also it was like 5 months shoot, which is a long time for a movie like that.
That's a long shoot.
Yeah, long shoot for a movie like this.
Yeah.
But we went there and we climbed and we survived.
Did you have kids by that time? Because this was released in 2010? No. But you had kids?
No, but that movie really triggered something in my parenthood.
Yeah.
Because I was working with those 2 kids,
Yeah.
a girl and a boy. And at the end of the movie, he has a relationship with with his children. And in a way, it really opened a channel towards being a father that it was very close before that.
Wow.
It happened naturally. I wasn't looking for it. It happened. Like, okay, maybe it's okay to have kids.
And
But
you had kids.
also, they were somebody else's kids, so they will come to the set and they will leave. So I didn't have my kids, and they stayed. Thank God.
And has being a father changed just the way that you approach roles? Yes.
Yes, in the sense that there's 2 little people there that are looking at you and they want to see daddy. They don't want to see Pablo Escobar. They don't want to see Ramon San Pedro fighting for euthanasia. They want to see daddy. And that is the major role to play. Because I think, I don't know, I'm not talking about all the actors, but I know many actors. And I know that we usually tend to find identity through our characters. I mean, actually the best actors that I know are people that don't have strong personalities. Right. We try to find something of ourselves in the characters we play. And that's fine. It's fine to have not personality. It's okay. It's okay. Because in this world we have to be strong, and we have to be good, and we have to be healthy, and we have to be pretty. Fuck that. It's okay to not have personality. That's what I think. But when you have 2 kids, you have to have a strong personality, and that's a different game. So the way I take my work is different, of course, because I'm forced to leave it there. Once I shoot, I leave it there, and I go back home, and it's way healthier. It's way healthier.
Yeah, well, I'd say you have a pretty strong personality. You fight for what you believe in and things, and actually...
Yeah. I guess I have it.
You do. And
we all have it.
Okay. And that's why I wanted to talk now. That's a good segue into The Sons of the Clouds. You know, it's a documentary you produced and you worked on. You went to a film festival in the Western Sahara.
Yes.
Can you tell me how you got involved?
Well, there's a situation happening in Africa, in the Sahara, where Morocco took over a land that doesn't belong to them, and it's been like now 30-something years, And these people, the Sahrawis, are fighting for the right to have the land back. But since Morocco is it's the, I don't know how to say, the most protected country in the United Nations, like United States, France, England, Spain, this thing hasn't been solved for so many years. So one of the ways to bring attention to that was making a film festival in the desert, and which is an amazing experience because you go there and you show movies in this huge screen in the middle of the desert, and of course some people haven't ever seen a movie before, and it's pretty spectacular. And there was the origin of the documentary, like, let's talk about this. Right. And we produced a documentary, and it was like 3 years of work trying to follow the thread of not the line of the dots of why this thing hasn't been solved, right. And still is not solved. And it's a pity. I mean, it's not a pity, it's a tragedy, because it affects thousands of people, of course.
And when you were there, I remember when you were here last, you were telling us about the very special experience there and how you stayed with a Sahrawi family. Can you tell us about that experience?
Well, they are famous for being very resistant and very, they are always very keen to not become bellic, they are against war, they are against violence, and that's why some people are blaming that aspect of the society to not make enough noise to be heard. I think they are right. I think violence doesn't get you anywhere. But I'm saying this because when you are with them, you can notice, you can feel that empathy for them immediately, because they are very nice, tranquil, patient, very patient people that believe in justice.
Yeah, and so your experience there took you to the UN. We're going to see a clip of you addressing the United Nations.
That was, of course, you are allowed to go there because you are a celebrity. And it took us a lot of work to get there. But also, anybody can go there and be in that situation. Right. If you have something to express, you're allowed to go there and say something for, I think it's a minute. But still, it was tough. And it was by far the most amazing and also scary moment of my, I don't know, I would say career, but that's not a career moment, that's a personal moment. But to speak and to talk about real things is scary, because it's not fiction anymore. It's about people's lives, and that's what matters.
No, absolutely. And I read that you've received some negative feedback, like that you.
Oh yeah, all the time. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't have personality, so I'm fine.
No, but it is frustrating because, I mean, I think it's wonderful to put yourself out there because that's not easy to do. I mean, I would
But
be...
once you take a step to some place, you will find resistance. I mean,
Right.
but I think that's part of what makes somebody's personality to just show yourself as you think, as you feel you are, and that will bring a lot of hatred and also a lot of support. And you have to be strong to sustain both, because also support can be dangerous. It can put you in a place where you don't notice that you are out of track or out of your own place.
Right, like blind support, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, that's true. That's true. No, well, I think I loved showing that film here. It was
Thank you.
really,
It was
really,
great.
it was really great.
You're always so nice and supportive. She is the best. And for us, for Spanish and Spanish-speaking people that we do movies, she is like a jewel for us because she's really protecting us
Thank you.
and protecting the movie that's are made in Spanish. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
That's very nice. And so tomorrow night, we're going to be premiering your absolute latest film where you are the producer. We have the director, Fernando León de Aranoa, here. We're showing Loving Pablo tomorrow night at the Princess of Wales. I remember, you know, it's a film about Pablo Escobar, and I know you've been offered other opportunities to play Escobar, but you've said no. There's something about this project that rings true to you. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. It was 1988, 89 when I was first offered Pablo Escobar. And I knew about him, I heard about him, but I wasn't really, and then I pay attention, I start to read about him, and I thought, what a character, I want to play him. And that was a long time ago. And since then, I've been offered a lot of Pablos.
Yeah.
Some of them were not made, some of them have been made, but I always refused them because I thought there was not a person there. There was not a human being there. There was either an icon or either a monster with not a human side. And we have to remind ourselves that he was a human being. Why? Because then that's what makes him scary. That's what makes him dangerous. Yeah. You're not playing a villain, like in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's fun, you go there, you put the dress, and you're playing a playing villain. This is a human being, and we have to learn what happened to that person to become the monster he became and change history for the worst. So I never found that in any other Escobar projects. And finally, along with Fernando, we found the point of view, which is Virginia Vallejo point of view, a journalist that had an affair with him for many years, and that helped him to become, in some way, that speaking voice of the humble people in Colombia. Humble people speaking voice. And then I thought that was interesting, and we developed the movie, and we were able to make it, thanks to Avi Lerner, who's here, and many other people that are being very, very helpful. And we made it, and we are very proud. It was a tough shoot because we have to shoot a lot of things, a lot of scenes, but we were all ready to do it, and I think we did a character piece that is at the same time very entertaining, and because it has a lot of entertaining moments in it, but also it's very it has gravitas.
It does, yeah.
That it was what I was looking for.
No, it definitely has gravitas. It's interesting because it's based on Virginia Vallejo's book,
Yes.
Loving Pablo, Hating Escobar.
Yes.
Which I read after I saw the movie.
All right,
because I was like,
okay.
oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
and it's so interesting because you show how she shifts. Like, you know, at the beginning, she's like, oh, this man's amazing.
Yeah.
And then as she starts to realize,
Yes.
this is kind of a monster.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why we choose to call it Loving Pablo, because it's about, when we were shooting in Colombia, a lot of Colombian people were actually complaining about how some of those other things that have been made about Escobar were making some glamour about it. And some, in some ways they brought an icon. to the audience, and that's dangerous. And that's one thing that we want to make sure we don't do. We want to call Loving Pablo the movie because we want to show what it's like, what is going to happen when you are blinded by the shine, the gold, the bright, or whatever it is of a person like this, and you are taking sides, and you go to him, and you have a relationship, or as a country, adore, support, or as an individual, some of them envy him or wants to emulate him. If you love a person like this, you're going to end up very badly because it doesn't make any good to anyone. Right. Which is something that we all know, but some people, it's important to remind us. That's why I need a human being on the screen to understand that there was something going on wrong that we can relate to as people. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to see now a clip from that moment where she realizes that she's in way over her head. Yeah. It's a really good one.
And then I explained to her.
Yeah.
And then I explained to her the most horrible thing that is going to happen the day they come for her. And it's a very powerful scene written by Fernando that is one of those scenes that you want to play. When you read a script, as an actor, it's like, I want to play that scene. And it's very powerful. No, it just started. From there on, it's going to get better.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that scene. It's so very creepy. Something really funny I read, though, and I want to know if it's true. Did you really model your character, like playing him on a hippopotamus? Like the
Yes. Yes, he was a huge fan of hippopotamus, and he had many in his private suit. And I wondered why was that, and I read about it, and then I realized because it was him. I mean, the hippopotamus, as you well know, is the most furious, cruel, wild, killing animal in all Africa. But I was one in Kenya and Tanzania, and I had the chance to see hippopotamus on the safari, and they are swimming in their own shit, very calm, looking at you, like nothing is wrong. But if they get mad, they are fast and they run and they kill, and that's Pablo Escobar. That's why it is a great character to play, because he has these two energies going on at the same time, which is this passive, slow, kind of warmth, funny energy, and at the same time committing the most atrocities in his back.
Yeah. And so you got to work with Fernando again. You worked with Penelope Cruz. That must have been quite.
Speaking of father and mother, that was something that we have to make a deal. Like, okay, how do we do this? Two people, that intense relationship, and not get affected.
Right.
And I don't know. We tried. And it went pretty well until one day where there was this scene that you may see tomorrow. Hopefully you will all come tomorrow. Where she comes to the prison to help for to ask for my help. Mm-hmm. That scene was very intense. We were again, one of those scenes that he really wrote, and you want to play until the day when it comes, and you go, no, I don't want to do it, because it's scary. It's great. It's a long scene full of intensity. That day, I was fine. She wasn't fine. She came back home like, I don't want to see you. I said, no, it's me. Hi ho. No. I slept on the sofa that night. Yeah. I don't blame her.
You know, and another thing I was curious about, you guys chose to shoot the film in English, which, yeah, can you talk about that?
Yeah, we tried to produce this movie in Spanish, but there's a roof. When you are going to make a movie in, let's say in Spanish or French, Italian, and you're aiming to do an international movie with a big scope, as this one is, there's a roof, and we tried for, I don't know how many years, until we stopped and we talked about it, we thought about it, and then we came with this feeling of, hold on, if the idea and if the story matters, if the characters are well played, people are going to jump and get into the story no matter what language it is, as we've all did or have made, with Dr. Zivago, Viva Zapata, with Marlon Brando speaking English, being Zapata, and many other movies, Amadeus. And if the story works, language is not a barrier after 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes you may be like, even before Night Falls, it was in English. You've seen the part that I spoke in Spanish, but that's the only part where I speak in Spanish because it was based on a real interview of him. The rest is in English, and it doesn't matter if the story transcends. And I think we work very hard in making it transcending for the people, and I think it works.
No, I think it works too, and I really love how you guys throw in little Spanishisms.
Yeah, and also we work very much on the accents of every area, from Bogota, Medellin, the Paisa. So I think you get the sense of the culture, of the country, of the personalities in those characters, for sure.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, with playing someone like Escobar, like you were just saying, like you don't want to take it home. For me, see, I actually thought, you know, I actually like that little bit of distance from Escobar, and because I found he's so creepy. Like he's just, and like you say, what's scary about him is that he was a man.
He was very. That's why we are interested in these great, bigger than life characters.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill has been. How many TV series and movies has been made? Now it's Darkest Hour, no, with Gary Oldman. Because again, there are characters that we want to follow because they've done something that we are interested in knowing more and more and more, for the good or for the bad. In this case, was for the worst. And yes, the important thing is to understand that we are him. He is us. He's not as I said, an alien that came on a spaceship from Mars and landed. He is a human being with a father and a mother and was raised in a particular way, and until a moment where his greed, his need of respect, whatever, and if you want to know what, you should see the movie, made him become the monster he became. For us to understand what was behind that mind.
Well, I really thank you for taking away the glamour, because that's, I think that's one of the things I most appreciated, is that it doesn't glamorize, this person, but at the same time, it's just a very fun, like if there's moments that are fun to watch at the beginning, and then there's definitely a shift in tone when she realizes after then. But I think it's a wonderful film.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to be there tomorrow night.
Yay! I'll be there.
Yes, you will.
I love the movie.
And you've got another film here at TIFF, Mother, Darren Aronofsky.
Yes.
We'll see a little clip of it, and then you can tell us a little bit about it.
let me tell you.
Yeah, tell us.
For me to perform between Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer, you need some balls.
Yeah.
In a foreign language, it was like, okay, I'm gonna pretend that I'm an actor. Because for me, they are like, I mean, those two monsters. There, listening to me talking in English, it was bad. I had a hard time. But they are so beautiful people and amazing actors, amazing artists. Yeah. For me, it was one of those moments where I was pinching myself, like, is this real? Is this real? Is it happening for real? Am I working with them?
So it was wonderful, good experience, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
The movie is, anyone has seen the movie?
Yay, oh, cool.
All right. Okay, you have a lot of that, and you have a lot of the opposite, no? It's good. I think Darren did something very brave and something very, he brought these issues and these themes into the movie in a way that it's very well made. I think cinematically speaking, it's a great movie piece. And it's open to any interpretation, and it's an experience of a movie. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's an experience. I mean, you go there and you go through a ride, and at the end of the day, you go like, okay, you say WTF?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a big WTF.
yeah. That's what I've heard, yeah.
But then you may have some answers afterwards. You have to dig in and see what resonates in you, if anything resonates in you. And if not, it's okay. It's fine to not have any personality, as we know.
So what's it like going over your whole career like this in
1 hour.
In 1 hour.
Then I need more jobs. I need more reels there.
We have a
So hopefully, Arvi, you hear that? I need more jobs. Okay.
Yeah, because we've gone from like 92 with Hamon,
Oh my God,
yeah,
92,
to
2017, 16, because those movies were made last year.
Yeah.
They're opening. Yeah, that's what, 24 years?
I can't count. I don't know.
Yeah, 24 years. Yeah, okay, here I am for another 24.
So we're going to now open up the floor.
No, you don't need to.
Yeah, we're going to open up the floor to some questions from the audience. We're going to take a few questions from the audience. And thank you so much. This has been
Thank you.
so wonderful.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
so
you.
always so good to have you. Yeah, and I can't wait to see Mother. I can't wait to see. Le prometí a mi esposo que le esperaría. Sí, lo vamos a
Claro, claro.
Lo iba a ver. Okay, do we have, oh, sure,
Only family members and friends, please.
yeah. Okay, who do we know? Oh, there we go, we got one here.
Hola, Javier.
Hola. Hello.
I want to know a little bit about the movie, The Love in the Times of Cholera.
Okay.
I love that movie. So I want to know like a little bit of the experience of
Okay.
how was that movie?
That was directed by Mike Newell, and I did that movie exactly 20 days after I shot No Country for Old Men. And I was playing this lovely, loving person, madly in love with his goddess. And I had a problem, like, hold on, where am I? And it was shot in Cartagena, India, which is an amazing, are you from Colombia? Okay. Which is like a paradise of a place. And it was one of the best times in my life. I had a great time. But also it's Garcia Marquez, which is very difficult to bring to the screen. And again, it was shot in English. And again, if the story works, for example, it resonates on you independently of beyond the language, which is important. And yes, I played this opposite of No Country for Old Men, actually. And it was an exercise for me to stretch myself into something so different from where I was coming from. It helped me for that matter, very much. The movie has good moments in it. I don't think it's a rounded movie in many aspects, but I think it has great moments in it. I have to say that I'm not, when they ask me, what's your favorite movie? I don't have a favorite movie. I don't think there's any favorite work that I've done or a movie that I've worked with that I think is perfect. I think every movie has its flaws and that's why I keep on working, just to try to find one that is perfect.
And then you'll stop?
Yeah, no, I'll stop.
Yeah, question over here, go
I
ahead.
don't know if this, oh, it does work, okay. I was just wondering who you would say is the biggest or some of the biggest influences on your career?
Well, my mom for sure, she's an actress and she is my mom. She was the one who told me, if you are going to do this job, take it seriously because you have a surname called Bardem that is coming from your grandfather. My grandparents were actors in a time in Spain where actors were not allowed to be buried on sacred land because they supposedly they were prostitutes and homosexuals, and yes, they were. I mean, as we all are, we continue being. No, but it comes from a very far distance. So my mom was like, if you're gonna have the surname Bardem, make sure that you earn it. And that's what I try to do every day, like earn the place. And that's for sure one. And the other one is Al Pacino. I'm always saying that I don't believe in God, I believe in Al Pacino. And I have the chance to meet him many times. And every time I meet him, the more in love I am with him. He's such a beautiful man. I adore him. And I've seen this photo of him in the hotel. You see, there's a wall with pictures of actors, and he's like standing up with the arms open. And I think it's a beautiful picture of him because that's the way he is. He's so generous in his art. I've been always very touched by how much he gives, and he's always focused on keep growing up as an actor.
Yeah, back there, go ahead.
Hi, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
An actor myself, and you're a huge inspiration.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about your process and if it's a fluid thing that changes from role to role, and if you have anything specific that you sort of hold on to each time.
I think the organism, that's a lie. I think the body, that's a lie. Our minds, our language, our eyes, well, eyes are part of the body, but we could all make stories out of what we think, and we pretend things. But the body never pretends. The body reacts to what is liked by the body, what is believed by the body, what is experienced by the body. So for me, body is a very important element in performing. If my body doesn't feel, doesn't believe what I'm saying, what I'm doing, what I'm moving, the way I'm moving, then something wrong I'm doing. So every time I go to a scene, I find the body first. And then the words come after, but I don't follow the ideas. Ideas are bad. They're not good things for actors because playing idea is something that is in the air. And I personally need bodies that move, bodies that feel. That's because I think we are all feeling. Every time we are constantly feeling. Whatever we register it or not, we are constantly feeling. And that's what makes us different. The way our body moves, expresses, that tells a lot about us, and that's what it's important for me.
And you work with like an acting coach? Or like,
I work with, I started in 1990, and I'm still going every year with him. His name is Juan Carlos Coraza, he's from Argentina, and he's by far a master. I mean, he's my friend now, he's my dearest friend, and he's really a bright, gifted person. And I go every year at least 2 months to do a workshop with him.
Wow.
Yeah. It's great because you go there with other people. Some of them are 18 years old, some of them are 65. Right. And you realize that you share the same fears, the same insecurities, the same questions. It's great. It's a nice way to come back to the roots and not take anything for granted.
Right. Question over here, go ahead.
Hola, Javier.
Hola.
¿Qué tal?
Bueno, gracias.
I'd like to go back to Skyfall. I just want to say you were by far the best Bond villain of all time. You made it real, and you made us love villains. I think the humanity and vulnerability you brought to the character was extraordinary. So my question for you is, do you like playing nice guys or bad boys better?
Well, I like to play something that can allow me to kiss and touch Daniel Craig, that's for sure. I was there. I was touching his chest and I was this close to his mouth. And Daniel was, really? I said, yeah, man. I said to Sam Mendes, this is not about a body that wants to destroy the world. He doesn't care about the world. He wants to lie down with James Bond. That's his aim. That's his goal. To get laid with Bond. And the funny thing is that they seem to agree. and they allow me to have that blonde wig on. I believe in people in the sense that, again, when you play a villain in Bond or Pirates of the Caribbean, they are like icons more than real people. But still, for me, it's important to believe what I'm doing. So I try to find the background and what's the motivation behind what they're doing. But again, it's a game, it's a joy to play them. When you play Pablo Escobar, it's a different one. He's not a villain, he's not a good boy, a bad boy, he's a monster, but that he happened to be real. And that's what attracts me, real people. Whether they do good actions, bad actions. A great actress called Victoria Abril from Spain said something very interesting, which is, we the actors are lawyers of our characters. We cannot judge them. We always have to defend them no matter what, independently of how we think about them. And it's true. So that's what I want to do, defend my character, defend the motivations of my character, because that allows me to spread my point of view about many things. It's one of the gifts of this job, that you are allowed and obliged to see the world with different eyes. So at the end, when you come back to yourself, you are a little bit more open than when before doing that role, for example.
Yeah, where's the next question? Go ahead. Hola.
Hola, Javier.
Hola.
Hi, Diana. Thanks
Hi.
for being here. I met your mom many years ago in Peru. Just want to know, how is she doing?
What?
I met your mom a few years ago in Peru. In Pantaleon.
You met me?
Your mom.
Tu mamá.
Ah, my mom. Okay, sorry.
Tu mamá.
Yeah. She was working there. Yeah, you know.
How is she doing?
She's doing good. She's doing good. Thank you for asking.
How is she doing?
Yeah, I will say hi from you. She's doing good, and she will be very happy to know that in this special event that she was so sorry that she missed, somebody was asking for her. So thank you. I will definitely tell her. Yeah. What is your name? What is your name? Jorge. Okay. I will say right now. I mean,
Jorge.
no, she's sleeping. She's in Spain.
Next question.
That was the best question of it all.
That was a good question.
Oh, no pressure for me whatsoever here.
Yeah. No.
I was just wondering, I'm not aware of any live theater work that you've done in the past. Have you done some? And if not, have you considered doing that in the future as a new avenue of expression for yourself?
I started doing theater, and then I start to have a lot of fear about doing theater, and still have a lot of fear to do theater. I think theater is a very scary experience.
In Spain?
In Spain, I mean, let alone to do theater in English. I mean, like, I would never put a foot on the stage. The thing is, every year that I go to the workshop, we do theater. With Coraza, the thing that I was saying before, every time I go a month or 2 months, that is the place where I do theater. Why? Because we are working with great classics or modern plays, and also because I am directed by him, which is the only one that I will trust to direct me on theater, because I know that he knows, and I know that he can manage me to go to places where fear is not the first component, but curiosity or wish or pleasure, you know? When every time that I approach a theater project, I felt that it was not the right person to work with. But again, it's a different monster, theater, and I really respect and admire everyone that has the strength to step on a stage, for sure. And I think, this is the last thing, that has to do with my mom. My mom she has done theater, I don't know, all her life. So I grew up in theater, and I saw her preparing the roles, and I remember one day, and of course I worked that with my psychiatrist, along with many other things, where she was vomiting. She was vomiting in the room, in the changing room, and then 2 minutes after, she became the Queen Isabel in the play, and she was a queen. For me, I was like 7 years old. For me, that schizophrenia, that change, and she was commanding the stage in a play that she was marvelous. It was like, wow, what happened? And I guess I have a lot of respect for theater because I've been always on the backstage seeing how hard it is for actors. And well, movies, I don't care. I just don't care. They put the camera and I go, no, I do care. No, but I mean, it's easier. It's easier in the sense that you can repeat.
Right. Yeah.
But also it's a different monster. I know a lot of actors that don't have I mean, you need some capacity to sustain the energy in a movie set for 12 hours, where you don't allow yourself to go out of the character too much, but also not to be too intense because you will lose your energy in the first 2 takes. So it's a different monster. When theater, you go there, you prepare yourself, you do it, and you go back home. So it's different languages.
Yeah. And didn't you practice with your mom? I mean, didn't you help your mom through her lines
Yes,
when you were a kid?
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
She was doing the play, and I was always with the manuscript,
Right.
with the play, going through the words. Yeah. I've done that a lot. Yeah.
So
And I was always marveled by her memory. Like,
Right.
oh my God, the memory. Because sometimes she would be called, on this I swear, a Friday to open on Monday. You know,
Wow.
because some other actress fell apart.
Yeah.
And she will be the protagonist, and she will learn the whole play in 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and she would never sleep.
Yeah.
And I was not sleeping along with her, going with the words. That's why I hate theater. I just realized. Yeah, I'm free of the psychiatrist.
Yeah, we have a question over. Who's there? Yeah, this side there.
Hi, my name's Kaylee, and I just started my first week of college last week. And when you were talking about going into a sort of multi-stage of discovering what you wanted to do in your life, I feel I'm studying cinema, and there's an immense pressure on young millennials to very early on find their life passion and expand on it immediately. And I'm wondering, at one point in your career, you felt that you had made the right choice in what you're doing.
Thank you. That's a tough question.
Yeah, it is.
I think it is tough because the times are different, so different. I don't know, when I was 18, 17, 19, we had magazines and we had phones with cords that we can call and we will knock in people's doors to get together. And there were not so many opportunities out there. There were things that were more specific, like you either want to go this way or that way, and that was helpful. Now I see how open everything is, and it's scary for me. It's like, wow, I mean, how hard it must be to really make a decision now when you have access to everything. In the sense that with just a button, clicking a button, you have access to everything. Of course, you have to study and you have to prepare. I mean, I'm not saying about that. I'm saying about the world is wider, bigger. And at the time when I was studying or preparing, it was more narrow, and that helped me. And I would never dare to give any what's the word?
Advice?
Advice to anyone. Camilo José Cela, Nobel Prize, said, the only advice that I will give to someone is to not take advice from anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice.
I would say the same because I don't know what to tell you. I was such a horrible student myself. I don't know what I'm going to say to my own kids, you know? So I was lucky. I was blessed by something up there that gave me the choice to follow a pattern that gave me today the opportunity to be with all of you. But that's very rare. That's very rare. That's very rare. That's very rare. And every day I feel gratitude for having that chance, that choice, So I'm not a good example of, I want to do this, I'm gonna fight for it. No, I'll do that with my characters, but not with a career, because that was an accident that I took care of, but it was an accident. Sorry.
With you come from a family of actors, and you're saying, you know, you have 2 young children. Would you want?
I don't want them to be actors. I want them to be wherever they want to be. They will be wherever they want to be. But it's a tough profession. It's a tough. I mean, I know many amazing, talented actors and actresses that don't have a job, and you see that very often. I mean, I belong to the 10% of those who can make a living out of it, and it's maybe it's less than 10. It's like 1%. 1%,
yeah.
That's very heavy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it's a passion, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Exactly. That's true. We have a question on this side now. Who is it? Yeah. If you have the mic, you can go ahead and.
Hey.
Hey, hello. I saw you.
You've played, so many conflicted characters, villains, anti-heroes. I was just curious, at this point in your career, do you feel like what do you feel like is left to explore, and what are you most curious about?
Thank you. A lot of things. A lot of things. I don't have any particular theme or character that I'm anxious to play. I mean, everything. I mean, I get enthusiastic very, very easily with a good character. I go like, yes, I want to see that. I want to express that. I want to. Al Pacino said when he was asked what he would prefer, to direct or to act, and he said, well, if I see an accident, a car crash on the street, the first thing that happens to me, to my body again, is to feel what they feel. Right. Like, that happens to all of us. We're all humans, but some people will go like that. Right. He goes like that. He wants to go in there. And that's the difference between an actor and a director. There's something that I'm saying that when a good role happens and appears, your instinct wants to go there. Right. And then you're blinded. You're fucked because there's no way back. And then maybe it's a horrible role, in a horrible movie, but you are in love.
A question over here? Yeah.
Oh, hi. Thank you, Diana. Hi, Javier.
Hello.
I'm also an actor, fellow actor. Mad respect. Thank you for your craft and for sharing all the laughter and the tears over the years. Been following you since Jamón. So, también soy argentino. Así que, the question is, which character is the one that drove you crazy the most, that hurt the most in las entrañas?
Which one's the one that
the strongest one, the one that gave you the most pain.
Well, Biutiful was a very strong one to hold.
The poster to sign it.
All right.
I know you will say that.
I'll do it. That was Biutiful was again a difficult one to hold for so long. And funny enough, the scene inside, the one that we saw, it was a fun set to be, believe it or not. I had a little fart machine, and I put it on the bed, and every time the actresses were coming, I was farting, and everybody on the set, they knew about it except them, and they didn't say anything. It's funny how we react to that. They were pretending that it was not happening. And since I was playing somebody that he was paralyzed, but that was Marlon Brando idea, it's not my idea. He was doing that all the time. But what I mean is the intensity of the role doesn't mean that the intensity of the journey. I mean, some journeys are very pleasant, and still it can be beautifully painful. I think the actor has to have some joy in the pain. That's why a painful experience, double painful experience, is not very creative. I don't think that pain is creative. I think pain can trigger some creativity once you are out of the pain. And that's why I don't believe in being in a character 24 hours. Because you may do your best scene in the craft service. It's better to be able to get in the pain and get out of it. That's what an artist do. Yeah. Otherwise, I think an actor does the journey in and out. Mentally ill person does unfortunately, the journey in, no out. Not out, yeah. That's the difference between an artist and a mentally ill person that will think that he's Napoleon, for example. We come back. They don't, unfortunately.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Well, it has been a wonderful evening talking about your career. We wish you so much luck with Loving Pablo tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for all your support.
Thank you for another. I know, that's really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bravo, Javier.
Thank you.